But first tonight, a political fight has erupted over energy policy, with Chris Bowen attacking Peter Dutton's plan for nuclear, and Dutton returning fire by calling Chris Bowen unhinged. Well, Chris Bowen today claimed that Dutton's plan to convert coal-fired power stations into nuclear small modular reactors would cost close to $400 billion. He said the plan flies in the face of economics and reason. He released an analysis by the Department of Climate Change to say the idea floated by the coalition would cost up to $25,000 per taxpayer. Chris Bowen claims the proposition to convert coal-fired power with nuclear is far more expensive, 20 times more expensive, than Labor's Rewiring the Nation Fund. This is its renewable energy push. The analysis, though, assumes that the taxpayer will pay for the entire plan rather than having any private sector funding. And Chris Bowen claims that nuclear is the most expensive form of power. His intervention on this issue today, right at this moment, shows that the Labor government is now determined to dent the coalition as it gains ground on Labor over the issue of the voice during a cost of living crisis. But Peter Dutton today returned serve with a fiery performance calling Bowen unhinged on energy, and this just a couple of months after he accused Labor of renewable zealotry.
Chris Bowen, frankly, is unhinged on all of this at the moment. Chris Bowen did numbers before the election, and he promised Australians on 97 occasions that he would bring power prices down by $275. I mean, has anyone's power bill gone down by $275 under Chris Bowen? No.
So Dutton there also launching an attack about Labor's promise before the election to bring power prices down. Promises that never eventuated, and worse, power bills have gone up by up to 30% in some states. Up to 30%. Families shocked as their winter power bills have come through. Yet this is what Labor promised just a year and a half ago, that power bills would be cheaper by $275 a year from 2025.
Reducing power prices by $275.
By 2025, $275 a year.
$275 a year.
We'll get power prices down by $275 a year.
Given power bills are among the high costs that are now crippling families, and don't forget we're in a per capita recession, should Chris Bowen be ruling out Dutton's nuclear push? Or should he be exploring it further, looking at ways of broadening the energy mix to bring prices down? Nuclear is one option that other international countries view as a reliable and sustainable source of energy. Once the reactors have been built, the running costs are lower and it doesn't use fossil fuels. If there are genuine reasons not to pursue this, not to add nuclear to our mix, well, let's hear them. There should be debate from the experts about this topic. But what we're seeing now from Chris Bowen is an ideological opposition to it. And you have to ask, does Chris Bowen think he's brighter than Bill Gates? Because this is what one of the smartest individuals in the world has said about nuclear power.
15 years ago, I assembled a group of experts to explore the technologies necessary to solve the dual challenges of global energy poverty and climate change. It became clear that an essential tool to solving both is advanced nuclear power. Nuclear power is the only carbon-free energy source we have that can deliver large amounts of power day and night through every season, almost anywhere on Earth. And it's been proven to work on a large scale.
If Bill Gates says so strongly that this is the way forward, then does Chris Bowen know more than him, or is this something that Chris Bowen should consider? The focus today on energy comes as the Albanese government realises it is under immense pressure over the soaring cost of living. With all of this discussion on The Voice, we are in a per capita technical recession in Australia. The Australian economy shrank by 0.3% for the second consecutive quarter in per capita terms. This is why people feel like they're going backwards. Life feels difficult. And household savings have dropped to 3.2%, the lowest levels since the global financial crisis in 2008. People just can't afford to save money. On top of this, petrol prices peaked at their highest ever levels in Sydney last week, $2.20 a litre. Now, there's not enough conversation about this technical per capita recession, this economic slowdown that we're in the media. Now, our overall economy grew by 0.4% in aggregate terms, but only because of the high immigration levels. And Dan Tehan, the Shadow Immigration Minister, will be on my show later this hour to speak about this. But the cost of living crisis, the financial pressure, is hurting Australians, and it's frustrating for families when all they hear the Prime Minister speak about is The Voice. It's a frustration that has diminished support for both The Voice and for Albanese, and it's a sentiment that will only accelerate over the next 4 weeks of the campaign ahead of the October 14 referendum.
The Prime Minister's been obsessed with The Voice over the course of the last 18 months or so. Most Australians are obsessed with how they're going to pay the next bill. And they see a Prime Minister that's distracted. There are 2 budgets that have been delivered now, and every economic decision made by the government has made it harder for Australians to balance their budgets